In today's video, I wanted to continue with my journey through the College of Winterhold, featured in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Last time, the adventure had just begun. I enlisted in the faction, received a tour of the facility, and attended my first lecture. I was introduced to characters like Mirabelle Irvine and Tolfdir. After that, some of the initiates took a trip to the ruins of Sarthal. While helping out with some research, I stumbled onto a new section of the dungeon. Tolfdir and I decided to explore it together. Early on, I ended up receiving a strange vision from a member of the Psijic Order. What's more, at the end of the line, we stumbled onto this incredible magical object. It was unlike anything either of us had ever seen before. Tolfdir opted to stay back while I returned and got the Archmage. Meeting with Savos Aren at the college, he told me to look into our grand discovery while he went out to meet with Tolfdir. So, hitting the books, I visited the Arcanium and asked Urag Roshub for more information. This was when he directed me to Felglow Keep. A former initiate of the college, Orthorn, stole some books and brought them there. This was in order to appease a group called the Summoners. It turned out that a couple of those books would prove to be handy for my research. So, storming the keep, I ended up defeating the Summoners, including their leader, the Caller, and rescuing Orthorn, who was made into a prisoner. Reading the books, the most relevant one, Night of Tears, shed light on Sarthal, the ancient Nords, and the Snow Elves. Whatever this glowing object is, theories believe that the Elves wanted it and the Nords were trying to keep it hidden. This is where the story continues. Going back into the Hall of the Elements, it was finally time to see this magical object up close and personal. It appears as though the college has been able to contain it to the central well in the hall. While good for research, it is quite questionable. We still don't know what it is or how it's used. Maybe something else is controlling it, or maybe it has a mind of its own. It could be extremely dangerous for all we know. As per Urag's suggestion, I approached Tolfdir and caught up with him.
Did he now? Does he have information about our wonderful discovery? Is that the one about something buried beneath Sarthal? Something that men and Mare fought over? I'll have to make a point of rereading it. I don't recall the details. I just can't seem to tear myself away. Whatever this is, its beauty is like nothing I've ever seen before. If you'd allow me to indulge myself for a moment, I thought I might make a few observations. I'm sure you've already noticed the markings. They're quite unlike anything we've seen before. Aliad, Dwemer, Daedric, not even Falmer. None of them are a match. Quite curious indeed. Now, I'm not sure that you're quite as attuned as I am, given my extensive years of experience, but can you feel that? This marvelous object, it practically radiates magicka, and yet it's unlike anything I've felt before. Archmage Aren is already hard at work, and hopefully he'll get more information soon.
I'm afraid I must intrude. It is urgent that I speak with your associate immediately.
This is most inappropriate. We're involved in serious research here.
Yes, I've no doubt of its gravity. This, however, is a matter that cannot wait.
Well, I'm quite sure I've never been interrupted like this before. The audacity. I suppose we'll continue this at some later time, when we can avoid interruptions.
I need you to come with me immediately. Let's go. Really? Well, allow me to clarify the situation. I'd like to know why there's someone claiming to be from the Psijic Order here in the college. More importantly, I'd like to know why he's asking for you specifically. So we're going to go have a little chat with him and find out exactly what it is he wants. I'll be the one asking the questions. All you need to know is that the Psijic Order is a rogue organization, believing themselves to be above the law. They have clashed with the Ordinary Dominion before, and I have no intention of allowing that to happen here.
While I would have loved to have heard more from Tolfdir, I actually agree with Unkano. This is a more pressing matter. Of course, in classic Thalmor fashion, his approach was rude, but what can you expect? Before heading on up, Unkano barks more orders at me, almost as if he believes he has some authority here. As soon as the monk says his piece, Unkano wants him gone, immediately. Since the Psijic Order is extremely elusive, and it's rare to even lay eyes on them, I'm sure the college is in awe right now. It sounds as if only Savros has ever seen the Order in person, and that was a long time ago. I will say though, something about this is strange. The Order was able to telepathically communicate with me before, but now they've resorted to visiting in person. Why that is, well, maybe the monk will be able to tell me.
Please do not be alarmed. I mean you no harm. It is good to meet you in person. I'd simply like to talk to you. I've given us a chance to speak privately, but I'm afraid I can't do this for long. We must be brief. The situation here at your college is of dire importance, and attempts to contact you, as we have previously, have failed. I believe it is due to the very source of our concern. This object, the Eye of Magnus, as your people have taken to calling it. The energy coming from it has prevented us from reaching you with the visions you have already seen. The longer it remains here, the more dangerous the situation becomes. And so I have come here personally to tell you it must be dealt with. I'm afraid it's not that simple. You must understand the Psijic Order does not typically intervene directly in events. My presence here will be seen as an affront to some within the Order. As soon as we have finished, I will be leaving your college. I'm all too aware that my arrival has aroused suspicion, especially in Onkano, your Thalmor associate. Nevertheless, my order will not act directly. You must take it upon yourself to do so. As you may have learned, this object, the Eye, is immensely powerful. The world is not ready for it. If it remains here, it will be misused. Indeed, many in the Order believe it has already. Rather, something will happen soon, something that cannot be avoided. We believe that your efforts should be directed towards dealing with the aftermath, but we cannot predict what that will be. I fear I have already overstepped the bounds of my order, but I will offer this. Seek out the Augur of Dunlane here in your college. His perception may be more coherent than ours. He was once a student here at the college. Now he is something different. I presume you refer to Onkano's distaste for the Psijic Order. The Thalmor see our order as a threat because we have power, and we will not allow them to control us. I assure you that we mean you no harm. I am unsure. He is somewhere within the college. Surely one of your colleagues must know his location. I am sorry I cannot provide you with further help, but this conversation requires a great deal of effort on my part. Now, I'm afraid I must leave you. We will continue to watch over you and guide you as best we can. It is within you to succeed. Never forget that.
I'm sorry. Were you about to say
What
something?
is the meaning of this?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't understand.
Don't play coy. You asked to see a specific member of the college. Here he is. Now what is it that you want?
There's been a misunderstanding. Clearly I should not be here. I shall simply take my leave.
What? What trickery is this? You're not going anywhere until I find out what you're up to.
I am not up to anything. I apologize if I have offended you in any way.
We will see about this.
There's certainly a lot to unpack from that conversation, but first, it's pretty funny to think of these events from Onkano and Arin's perspectives. The monk asks to see me, and as soon as I show up, he waves goodbye and leaves. The other guy's reaction is pretty understandable. Now, as for what the monk says, it's still fairly cryptic, but for the most part, it sounds like whatever's about to happen is unavoidable. Apparently, the best I can do is be on damage control and clean up whatever mess is about to happen. Now, as for the task at hand, I'm to find something called the Augur of Dunlane. For the monk to say that he was once a student here and that now he's something else, what exactly am I supposed to make of that? Is he a vampire, a spirit, a lich? What's more, most of the NPCs at the college don't have the Augur as a dialogue option. As for the ones who do have it, they get irritated when I bring it up, practically as if it's a taboo topic. Fortunately, even though Arin outright dismisses the topic, he does set me on the right path. The Archmage mentions that Tolfdir loves to tell stories about the Augur. This updates my quest marker and sends me right over to the old professor.
Well now, there's a name I haven't heard in some time. My goodness, it's been years since I've spoken with him. I suppose he's still down in the Midden, but I haven't checked. Are you going to see him? Do tell him hello for me, won't you? Underneath the college. It's not the nicest place, so if you go down there, please do be careful.
Now in the moment, I forgot to ask Tolfdir for more information regarding the augur. Trust me, when you see him, you're gonna have questions too. However, this is all that he had left to say on the subject. Well, I suppose he wouldn't mind. It was all before my time, you understand. I've heard the stories, the same as anyone else. He was a brilliant student, an accomplished wizard, delved into magic in a way none had seen before. But I think he became too focused on just how much power he could acquire. That's what led to the accident. Through other quests, it is possible to learn a little more about the augur, but there's nothing that's that informative or telling. One thing that I read off of the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages that's sort of interesting is where the Dunlin part of his name comes from. In Skyrim, there's no town or city named Dunlin, at least that we know of. However, in the Elder Scrolls arena, there is a place called Dunlin Falls, and it's located in High Rock. Honestly, there's an entire rabbit hole on the augur that's really easy to fall into. So many great Elder Scrolls YouTubers have done some amazing work on theorizing his background. Due to various clues, including ones that were dug up in the game's files, it's heavily theorized that the augur was a Breton. Beyond that, I won't say much more until I finally meet him. Now, back to the matter at hand, access to the Midden can be gained via the college's Hall of Countenance. This is an area that wasn't on Mirabelle's tour. My guess is that it was likely because the devs didn't want anyone skulking around in the Midden before this quest was active. This area is like an icy version of Riften's Ratways. It's a series of underground sewers that run beneath the college. I'd be willing to bet that these tunnels were once a lot vaster. However, with Winterhold's great collapse, a lot of the access points were probably cut off. Enemies down here include ice wraiths, draugr, and skeletons. At least those were the ones that I fought with. From the Midden, I was led to a place called the Midden Dark, which for some reason actually sounds pretty terrifying to me. I think it's the mix of the Midden's ominous name, which apparently refers to rejected organic waste, with the second part, dark. Dark is the unknown. It's almost every human's bane, as it eliminates arguably our most relied on sense. Now, the Midden Dark was quite strange. There were weird symbols and totems made from human bones. Whoever made these, it certainly seems intentional, and almost like a way to either praise some entity or to ward off intruders. The Dark had several pathways to go down, and while I now sort of wish I had explored them, at the time I just stuck to the quest. Eventually, I made it to a locked door, and from the other side, I heard a chilling voice call out.
Your perseverance will only lead to disappointments. Still, you persist. Very well. You may enter.
Really quickly, I apologized for the augur's brightness.
I am that which you have been seeking. Your efforts are in vain. It has already begun. Those who have sent you have not told you what they seek, what you seek. You seek that which all who wield magic seek, knowledge. You shall find this. Knowledge will corrupt. It will destroy. It will consume. You seek meaning, shelter in knowledge. You will not find it. The Thalmor sought the same thing, and it shall lead to his end, as it has so many others. The one who calls himself Ancano. He seeks information about the Eye, but what he will find shall be quite different. His path will cross yours in time, but first you must find that which you need. You, and those aiding you, wish to know more about the Eye of Magnus. You wish to avoid the disaster of which you are not yet aware. To see through Magnus's eye without being blinded, you require his staff. Events now spiral quickly towards the inevitable center, so you must act with haste. Take this knowledge to your Archmage.
And just like that, the augur is gone. Clearly the person that he used to be is no more. Whatever the augur is now, it's far from human. Interestingly, he's able to appear through the use of the college's magical wells, so it makes you wonder if he could spawn in the Hall of the Elements or even the Hall of Attainment. However, it sounds as though he prefers to remain locked away from others, resorting to a life, if you can call it that, of isolation and reflection. I actually have my own theories on the augur that I'd love to explore in a video one day, so let me know down below if you'd possibly like to see that. In any case, he mentioned that Ancano had his own motivations with the Eye of Magnus, which probably comes to the surprise of no one. It sounds like whatever disaster awaits, he might have something to do with it. In any case, ascending back to the college, I met with Savo Sauron in the Hall of the Elements to discuss what I had learned.
Really? And what might that be? I'm sorry, what? Well, I'd certainly love to have such a powerful staff, but I'm not really sure that any of us need it. And how do you know of this? Did you really? And he specifically mentioned the staff of Magnus? I'm impressed with your initiative. Of course, someone will need to follow up on this. I certainly do. Since you went so far as to seek out the augur for advice, I thought you'd be more enthusiastic. Something as specific and ancient as the Staff of Magnus. I'm not sure we'd ever find something like that. I seem to recall Mirabelle mentioning the staff somewhat recently. Why don't you see if she can tell you anything? I'm quite pleased with your progress, you know. You've certainly proven yourself to be more than a mere apprentice. Well done. This circlet once proved invaluable to me. I hope it can be of use to you now.
As a reward, Auron gifts me the Mage's Circlet. It's an enchanted headpiece that increases my total magicka by 50 points. That's certainly an upgrade compared to what I currently have. With that, thus ends the quest, Good Intentions. Before heading off to find Mirabelle, Ancano stopped in at the hall. I know it's one of his usual hangout spots, but after the conversation with the augur and with the Eye of Magnus being there, I couldn't help but be even more suspicious of him. Unfortunately, for the moment, there's nothing out of the ordinary that I can really do or say to him. So, leaving the space, I entered the Hall of Attainment and sought out Irvine.
Well, now that's an odd question. Why in the world would you be asking? The Eye of Magnus? I can appreciate that this thing, this orb, it's very impressive, very unique, and definitely worth studying. But let's not jump to any conclusions or assign it importance beyond what we're certain of. The augur. Just what have you gotten yourself involved in? Whatever is going on, whatever you're up to, be very careful. Well, it's said to be very powerful. Has the capacity to store an incredible amount of magical power, as the story goes. But it's more myth than anything at this point. I've no doubt that it actually exists, but no one has seen it in, what, decades? Longer? I'm not sure. The only time I've heard it mentioned was when those Synod characters showed up some months ago looking for it. Mages based out of Cyrodiil. They fancy themselves the imperial authority on magic these last few hundred years. My understanding is that all they really do is make noise in an attempt to curry favor from the Emperor. Lots of politics, little magic. I was quite surprised to find them on our doorstep. They seemed amiable enough, but their line of questioning made me uneasy. It became clear they're trying to hoard powerful artifacts, looking to consolidate power. No one here does. The Synod seemed convinced it was somewhere in Skyrim. They inquired about the ruins of Mzulft, but that's all I remember. It sounded like they were heading there, though they were rather secretive about why. I suppose if you're intent on looking for the staff, there's a chance they might be in Mzulft yet. Just don't expect them to be cooperative. I'm not really sure. Made and used by Magnus himself, if you believe those sorts of things. I believe I've heard it said that it's the only thing that could adequately contain his power. The sort of embellishment wizards of ancient times loved to make.
Well, as per usual, a new lead comes with a whole assortment of other new topics. A new adventure, Mzulft, a new powerful object, the Staff of Magnus, and a new mysterious faction, the Synod. Peering at the map, Mzulft is located in the far eastern mountains of Skyrim. Compared to the previous adventures, the ride over was fairly uneventful. A novice conjurer here, a saber cat there, nothing that a member of the college couldn't handle. Arriving on site, the Dwemer ruins were pretty quiet. In fact, without trying to sound cliche, they were a little too quiet. Typically, there's some kind of enemy guarding these kinds of exteriors. All I could really find out here though was a dead adventurer, and I'm pretty sure that his body was placed there by devs anyways. So, with fated breath, I entered Mzulft and laid eyes on the scene.
Crystal. Gone. Find Paratus. Inoculary.
This NPC's name was Gavros Plinius. A good guess was that he was part of the Synod faction. On his person, he had the key to Mzulft as well as some research logs. Reading them, they say, Attendant Gavros, the council has become aware of the lack of progress in your group's efforts. They are particularly displeased to learn that your specifications for the focusing crystal were completely incorrect. The entire Binder's Conclave has worked tirelessly, and the council is quite sure this new crystal will suit your needs. You are herewith entrusted with delivering the crystal to the site, completing your work, and delivering a full report to the council with all possible haste. The council trusts you will deliver the crystal to the oculary personally, and that there will be no further complications. Signed, First Adjunct, Orenril. Now, connecting the dots a bit here, the research log indicates that Gavros was supposed to deliver some kind of crystal. With Gavros's dying breath, he said that the crystal was gone, and that I needed to go to this aforementioned oculary and find something, or someone, named Paratus. The issue is that if this is what the front door looks like, what am I going to come across inside? Well, to put it simply, it wasn't good. Not far into the journey, I came across the corpse of another Synod. These are the people who were supposed to help with, or at least inform me on, the Staff of Magnus. If they're all dead, then what hope do I have for actually locating it? Well, there's no need for the doom and gloom just yet. The task at hand is to reach the oculary, so maybe there's some hope. Now, for the first bit of Mzulft, I was mostly facing off against Dwemer machines, spiders, and spheres. According to several sources, the automatons don't have any natural weaknesses, but they do have a variety of resistances. They're completely immune to frost and poisons. They also have a small resistance to magicka, which was just peachy for my mage. Not long into the trek, I encountered the real threat of Mzulft, a chorus hunter fledgling. Obviously, this creature alone wasn't the Synod's bane, but it painted a bigger picture of what was going on here. Like most Dwemer ruins, the Falmer, along with their chorus companions, have set up camp. By the hunter's original position, I found several more dead Synod researchers. These ones looked as though they were ambushed in their sleep. This was the part of the dungeon where the Falmer threats started to take shape, although it would take a little bit longer before they became the focal point for this quest. Up ahead was a duo of chorus, and the best I could do here was blast my fire and walk backwards through the tunnels. I don't know if any of you have looked at the chorus concept art, but boy, it's actually pretty cool. It seems as though originally, the Falmer were meant to ride the chorus reapers, practically as if they were their very own warhorses. That means that the chorus were likely meant to be even bigger than the versions we see. That's not saying a whole lot for the regular chorus, but it is saying a lot for the reapers. As the crawl continued, I faced off against more machines, relatively standard fights. Eventually, I got the common sense to summon my Flame Atronach, and the battles got a whole lot easier. My Daedra would tank the hits and lay down some good cover fire. Soon after, I came across a familiar scene, something that I had seen countless times before in other Dwemer ruins. Dead Falmer and destroyed automatons were littered on the floor. This was the indication that the threat was shifting from Dwemer constructs to the mutated snow elves. You know what though, it was certainly a welcome change. I found the Falmer easier to handle than the spiders and spheres. This was probably because they were bigger targets, making them easier to tag. I could also get the jump on them, as they would blindly roam the halls, no pun intended, and they would use ranged weapons, making it a rather trivial firefight. Sometimes I'd run into a fellow caster, and to be honest, those ones would do a number on my health. They were also smart enough to keep their aggro on me rather than to switch it to my Atronach. However, those kinds of NPCs didn't come up often, so it wasn't game-changing or anything of the sorts. Truly, the crawl through Mzulft was a long one. That was probably in part due to the types of enemies that were here, compared to say Sarthal or Felglow Keep, but I was trucking through this dungeon for quite a while. Eventually, I landed on the quote final boss of Mzulft. Entering a zone called the Adrome, I ran into the last wave of Falmer. Taking out some foot soldiers and chorus, there was one rather bulky snow elf amongst the lot. A gloom lurker creeped out of the shadows and came in for the attack. Now, in the grand scheme of things, a Gloomlurker is the second weakest of the Falmer bosses, but this abomination was able to tank my spells rather easily. At one point, things were looking pretty dire. In a last-ditch effort, I whipped out the staff of Uric Galderson, and let me tell you, this thing worked wonders. A couple of casts and the Gloomlurker was dead. A single shot on the already weakened Falmer, and they too fell in battle. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of staves. The sole reason for that is that they don't contribute towards any skill. However, I totally understand why they're useful for just about any class, especially if your magicka isn't the greatest. I think for the time being, the staff will be in one hand and my destruction will be in the other. From here, my quest marker was locked behind one of the ruins doors. So, thinking that the key was on the Gloomlurker's body, I went searching for it and ended up encountering something completely different. The Falmer actually had the focusing crystal in its inventory. This was likely the very same one that Gavros told me to retrieve and the one that was written about in the research logs. At the moment, I couldn't do anything with it, so pocketing the crystal for later, I continued my search for the key and soon came across it in a separate wing of the ruin. It was guarded by a Dwarven Spider Guardian, which is actually the strongest variant of the Dwemer Spider. However, even though it was a close fight, it was still no match for the staff of Uric Galderson. Collecting the key from a nearby chest, I returned to the central chamber and unlocked the door. On the other side, there was a long hallway that ended with yet another door, but this time I could hear someone behind it.
Gavros, is that you? I'd almost given up hope. Let me get the door. What the? Who are you? What are you doing here? What have you done with Gavros? It was the Falmer, wasn't it? Curse them! They've ruined everything. If Gavros is gone, there is no hope. He was supposed to return with the crystal. Without that, all our efforts are wasted. And you, if you're here for treasure or wisdom or anything, I'm afraid you've wasted your time. It didn't work the first time. I tried to tell Gavros, but he wouldn't listen. No, it won't be too cold, he said. Well, I was right, wasn't I? Focused completely wrong by the time we got here. The cold had warped it. Gavros had to cart it all the way back to Cyrodiil. Left the rest of us here to fend off the damnable Falmer. It was a brilliant idea, really. Mostly mine, though Gavros took the credit. Secret, though. Official Synod business. Can't talk about it. I am on official business of the Grand Council of the Synod. That's all you need to know. I might well ask the same of you, running around by yourself in this dangerous place. Are you? Well, I'm afraid I can't help you with that. I need the crystal to do anything useful, and I don't have it. You found... How in the world? That's it? That's it! I don't know who you are, but you may have just saved this little project. In fact, who are you anyway? You are you? Savos wouldn't even grant us an audience when we came to you, but now you come here expecting something from me? I don't much like this, I'll tell you. But you saved my skin, so maybe I can overlook the past for now. Come on, I'll explain on the way.
So this is the aforementioned Paratus that Gavros told me to find. Through his dialogue, I got to learn more about Gavros' mission with the Synod and the role that he played in their research here. Furthermore, the room that Decimius takes me to is actually the Oculary, the space that was also mentioned from the beginning. He talks about how it's used to discern the nature of the divine and that the machine itself was designed to collect starlight. From there, it refracts the light, but to what end is still to be determined. This is where the issue with the focus crystal arose, and well, the rest is history. Reaching the top of the platform, this scene also looks very familiar. If you've run through the main questline, this appears to be similar to the Dwemer puzzle in the Tower of Mazark. It's a complex machine that has various dials that need to be turned and buttons that are to be pressed in a particular order. By the control panel, there are actually 2 spell tomes, Flames and Frostbite. This should have been a clue as to how to solve the puzzle, but for the first little bit, I was pretty dumbfounded. Placing the crystal in the center, the light was instantly refracted. I then ran to the controls and started to mess around with them. Each button turned one of the wheels that was on the ceiling. After fiddling with it enough, it became obvious that the light needed to hit the green panels. The issue was that the light rays were way off from their targets, and I wasn't sure how to adjust them. So, speaking with Paratus, he finally revealed the puzzle's secrets. He also insulted the college, but you know what? Maybe we deserve that one. The crystal reacts to flame and frost spells. Frost magic lowers the beams while fire magic raises them. The light was currently at its highest point, so casting frost magic, the crystal contracted and the light lined up perfectly with the marks on the walls. Spinning the wheels to match everything up, the secrets of Mazulft were finally revealed. However, they weren't quite what Paratus expected.
What's this? These results? They're not at all what they should be. This projection should be lit up like the night sky. Something is creating an incredible amount of interference. Something in Winterhold, it looks like. What are you playing at? Is this some attempt to stall my work? So what is it? What have you done? Did you know what we were attempting? Are you here to make sure your plan worked? That our efforts have been for nothing? Well, explain yourself. Go wrong? Go wrong? Everything is wrong. Everything. Whatever you have at that college has completely interfered with our work here. How did you do it? But it must be something you're doing. There's no other explanation. You have something at your college, don't you? Something immensely powerful, beyond anything I've anticipated. What is it? So you do have something, then. Whether this was intentional or not, it suggests some interesting results. You're looking for something, yes? The Staff of Magnus. Well, even if you are trying to ruin my work, there's still something to be learned here. I can't explain the details. That would be giving away many secrets the Synod have learned over the years. Also, I doubt you'd be able to comprehend the details. Have you seen the orrery in the Imperial City? It was the inspiration for this idea. Instead of projecting the sky, we project all of Tamriel, and then harness the latent energies to overlay the positions of... What's important is that all of this work was designed to reveal to us sources of great magical power. Purely to help safeguard the Empire, of course. And yet, in the end, only 2 locations have been revealed to us. One is your college. The other, well, that can only be Labyrinthian. So, mage from Winterhold, despite your intentions, I've beaten your little game, even if all you've said here is lies. I know you have something in Winterhold the Synod Council will be very interested in. So fine, trudge off to Labyrinthian in search of your staff. I shall return to Cyrodiil and deliver my full report to the Council. This is not over, I assure you. Well, yes. Probably. I mean, yes, certainly it is. But that doesn't matter now, because I know you're hoarding something even more important at your college. The Council will be informed of this. They will find out what you're up to. Am I? Am I? I think I've discovered more here than I could have hoped to. Your trickery won't confuse me.
I really wasn't sure if Paratus' threats had any weight to them. I was 50-50 on striking him down right here and now, but odds were that nothing was going to come of it. He probably won't even survive the trek back to Cyrodiil, and if he does, well, the lore will be even more interesting to think about. Yet again, the Eye of Magnus is running some kind of magical interference. First the Psijic Order, and now a Dwemer experiment. Clearly this object has power unlike almost anyone in Tamriel has seen before.
You have done well thus far, but trying times are ahead. It is imperative that you return to your college at once. You will be called on to take swift action, rise to the challenge, and discover what you are capable of. You are on the right path, and you will prevail.
Well, if that wasn't the monks saying get back to the college ASAP, then I don't know what it was. This could be the start of the catastrophe that was foretold by the Order and the Augur. If you got a good look at the map, it only showed the northern half of Tamriel, and Skyrim was lit up like a fire in the night. It was hard to see, but there were 2 dots marked in the province. One was over by the College of Winterhold, obviously being the Eye. The other was in central Skyrim though, not far from the city of Morthal. Wherever that is exactly, it likely holds the Staff of Magnus. Returning to the college, I entered the Hall of the Elements and was met with a shocking scene. This is what I'd call the climax of the faction.
Without fear of persecution.
It's like a ward, but who's casting it? On Conno? How?
I don't care what it is. I want it down now. I want to know what he's doing in there. don't know what he's doing, but he won't get away with it. On Kano, he's in there doing something. Don't know what. We're trying to get in now. I will have his head for this, I assure you. Help take this down, will you? We're throwing everything we can at it.
Together, the three of us cast destruction spells on the barrier, and surprisingly, it begins to thin. I suppose it's the same sort of magic that Tolfdir took down when we first found it in Sarthal. Once the ward was removed, I rushed into the chamber and found Ankano shocking the orb. Clearly, he was testing the orb's limits and seeing what it was capable of.
What's going on?
Ankano, stop this at once. I command you.
Don't go near him! Are you all right? Can you walk? I need you on your feet. We're in trouble here. Ankano is doing something with that thing, the eye. We can't stop him. I haven't seen Savo since the explosion. He must have been blown clear, and he may be injured. I need you to find the Archmage, and I need you to do it quickly. Get moving. I'll be fine. I just need a minute to catch my breath. Find Savos.
Ankano is now face to face with the orb, locked away by his powerful ward magic that's now impassable. It was as the Augur foretold. The Thalmor would eventually reveal their true motives. With that, thus ends the quest, revealing the unseen. For the time being, Ankano is rather passive behind his little force field. However, whatever he did before was enough to cause shockwaves throughout all of Winterhold. Exiting the hall, there was a lot of commotion coming from the courtyard.
What's happened? Are you all right? What happened in there? By the Nine, is he responsible for this? The Archmage? Dead? There's more. Something's happened to Winterhold. It must be whatever Ankano did. You need to get out there and make sure it's safe. Quickly now, quickly. I'll find Mirabelle and see if we can't put a stop to this.
As Tolfdir runs into the hall, I get a good look at what Ankano's done. Archmage Savosaran is lying lifeless in the snow. The leader of the college has been murdered by the Thalmor. If only there was some way to convey this to NPCs like Ulfric Stormcloak or even General Tullius. I bet Skyrim's politics would have been very different. Running over to the bridge, I caught up with Feralda and Arniel, who already had eyes on Winterhold's situation.
What's going on? What happened in there? It may be in danger? Take a look. I don't think there's much question. Let's get down there. We have to do something. Come on, Arniel. Let's go.
Do we have to? They'd never lift a finger to help us.
Arniel does have a point. The Nords would sooner watch the college fall than help any of its members. However, now would be a great time to literally build that bridge with the city's people and to mend the relationship. Hauling it to the other side, I got to see what exactly we were up against. There were these wisp-like creatures, almost like ice wraiths, called magic anomalies. There were 10 of them and they were grouping up on my horse. Weaker DPS spells like sparks and flames didn't deal a whole lot of damage to them. Stronger spells like firebolt and lightning bolt did though. The issue was that their hitboxes were so small, so they were tricky targets to hit. Furthermore, it was hard to focus my attention on only one of them. They moved rapidly and it was hard to keep track of which ones were already weakened. While Feralda was carrying the fight, Arniel decided to whip out his fists and go brawler mode. Essentially, he did virtually no damage here and I was struggling with my magicka regen. What's more, my horse would eventually kick the bucket as it got overwhelmed by the anomalies. Needless to say, this battle took way longer than it should have. Maybe because it was nighttime, or maybe it was part of the script, but the townsfolk were nowhere to be found. It really was just the 4 of us putting in the work here. It makes sense too, as this was a mess caused by the college, so we should be the ones to clean it up. Slowly, one by one, the anomalies died off. Soon there were just 2 remaining, and then we got down to the final one. After the threats were eliminated, Feralda told me to return to the college. The 2 of them were going to stay in town just in case more anomalies showed up. Booking it back to the institution, I entered the Hall of the Elements, and it appeared as though nothing had changed, which was good, but also bad. Irvine was still on the ground and wounded.
Well, is everything out there all right? Wish I could say the same for us. Tolfdir and I can try and keep this contained. You need to get your hands on the Staff of Magnus, now. You were told to find it, weren't you? If the stories about the staff are true, If it really can absorb a tremendous amount of power, maybe we can break through on Kano's magic. What? Are you sure? The staff is there. That can't be a coincidence. The Archmage. He gave me something just a little while ago. He told me it was from Labyrinthian and that I would know what to do with it when the time came. I think he meant this for you then. I'm not sure why, but there was something very personal about it for him. I think you should take this amulet. It belonged to Savos, but I think it would do you the most good now. Take it and get out of here. Bring back that staff before Ancano brings the whole college down around us.
As the conversation closes out, Mirabelle hands me something called a Torque of Labyrinthian, as well as Savos Aran's amulet. As of right now, the Torque has no use. However, the amulet is certainly an upgrade. It increases my total magicka by 50 points. It would seem as though now the Psijic Order's prophecy is coming true. Disastrous events have taken place, and all I can do is pick up the pieces and move forward. I just have to hope that the Staff of Magnus is actually in Labyrinthian and that it has the power to stop Ancano. However, what awaits me in this upcoming dungeon is a threat that's way more dangerous than anything I've faced thus far.